Hey, guess what? Today, I'm not trapped in a hole. That's right, I'm actually free today. Well, we'll see just how long we can keep it that way, okay? Who knows, by the end of this thing, we might end up leaving him kind of like we left this iron golem.
Hey, can you let me out of here?
Yeah, this poor man, he's just been chilling here.
Come on, man, just let me out of
But
here.
anyway, what I ended up doing was out here, I've been working on getting this thing prepped. One of the big things that we need to do to make this slime farm work is we're going to need to build up the layers. But this is literally 4 chunks. So we have 4 chunks that are all connected, one giant slime area. Now, I don't need that many slime balls in a single player world. I mean, look, this thing is pretty massive. Obviously, we need to take care of some of these little floating blocks because they're just spawning mobs. But I've been taking a little bit of time to set everything up and put up these torches and basically try to light it up as best I can. And on the bottom here, I ended up having to put half slabs because let me tell you, it was spawning so many slimes here that it was just like, it was uncontrollable. I couldn't do anything about it. Like, let me show you. It was pretty nuts. All I want to do is fill up these holes. Yeah, placing blocks. Hey, wait, hey, get out of here. What are you doing? Hey, get back. No, stop. Damn it. Oh my God, what am I doing? Get me out of here. Oh my God, I am so screwed. Okay, I can do this. I know I can do this. I can get out of here. We're gonna make it. It's okay. Everything's fine. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. Okay, I got my sword. Get back. All I wanted to do was fill up these holes, but I died instead. Well, at least I got it done eventually. Yeah, it was that bad. I mean, slimes by themselves are pretty dangerous if you're not careful. So what I ended up having to do is put these little half slabs here because I wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any slime spawning while I'm down here working because I'm tired of dying. Okay, I'm tired of it. So what we're going to do now is work on building up a couple of these platforms. But the way that I want to turn this thing into is not your typical slime farm. This thing is not going to be just a regular, oh, we're just going to drop in magma and, you know, like all the other millions of slime farms you've seen. No. What we're going to do is we're going to take this thing and we're going to turn it into an XP farm. Yes. It's going to be a slime XP farm. And I'm going to do the whole thing using pistons and redstone. So one of the first things I want to do before I get too far is start tearing down those things, because if that TNT happens to drop and blow up down here and then we're going to have more spawns and all that, it's just not going to be fun. So I think one of the first things we need to do is get rid of that, get this whole area set up, and start working on building up these platforms so we can get to making this slime farm. You know, for all the time it took to make these things, I'm really dreading taking these things apart. Because all it takes is one of those little TNTs to go off and then kaput. I gotta go back down there and fix all that floor that I made. Oh boy. Oh shoot.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Well, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Alright, well, what you gonna do? That absolutely sucks. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, cool. That'll work. Okay, so note to self, destroy the observer blocks first. Oh boy, that is not ideal. Look, I know, okay? I'm not the smartest guy out here when it comes to this stuff, so you gotta give me a little breaks every now and again, okay? You know, I'm not the brightest, alright? Takes me a second, okay? I got a little bit of the dum-dum in me, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so this might not be the strongest floor in the world, but you know what? It'll work for now, okay? It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, okay? It'll be fine. I promise. It'll be fine. So all we're going to do now is go back up there and take those things back apart, but this time, I'm going to get rid of the observers first. Okay, so the good news is this is the last piece of the redstone I need to take down from our current build. But the bad news is, if you look at my levels, yeah, I fell a couple times. So, well, at least this thing's done, so that's at least one less thing that we got to worry about. But now the next thing I need to do is go down there, and we're going to seal off all these little areas here where it could have access to other things. Things could like wander in here. We want to isolate this farm from the rest of our mine. So I'm going to build that up down there next. That way we can make sure that it's going to be nice and secure, and that we're not worried about other things meandering into our slime farm. Oh. Yeah. That was not what I wanted to do. Well, that's number 2 for me. Oh, this is so not good. What are you doing here? Oh. Whoa. I don't want to fight. Don't want to fight. Where is this guy? He is like freaking out. Look at this guy. What in the world is going on? Look. He just like zooms right up to me. That's weird. I wonder if that has something to do with these slabs or something, but that was bizarre. Frickin' floopin'. There's my axe. Alright, there's at least one more thing I don't got to get. That's just what I've always wanted. My stuff I already had. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go here and I'm going to block off all these little entrances so that way we don't have to worry about anything coming into our slime farm, which it's not too difficult, but I'm just going to do that. Make sure that we get that blocked off and then start building our floors up. So without further ado, I guess it's time-lapse time. So let's do it. So after we managed to get the wall built up, what I needed to do was build a couple of iron golems right in the center of all 4 chunks. I thought the best way to do this was just to set them up on some bricks and then run some glass around them. It's a little bit tricky to get them to actually spawn, so I had to open up the glass a little bit and then seal them off when we were done. And sure, I probably could have built this farm a lot taller. The only problem was I was out of iron. And I didn't want to waste all the iron on iron golems in this part of the farm because I still needed to use some inside the farm. So then I decided to move on to the next step, which meant that, well, I had to get a whole bunch of fence gates. And by a lot of fence gates, I meant about 8 stacks of fence gates. It was a lot of work to get all these fence gates, trust me. I was chopping trees for days. And it really hurt when I discovered that I actually placed them in the wrong spot. Yeah, I ended up having to tear them all back down again. But it's okay because I'm not going to let one little setback set me back that far. It just meant I had to chop more wood and make more fence gates, but eventually I got it fixed and actually got it figured out. It just took me a while. Placing fence gates can be a pain in the butt, you know? It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. That's why it's kind of hard to do with scaffolding. I was using dirt blocks for most of this just so I could hold shift. It helps a little bit. Then all I needed to do was build a platform on top to protect the golem and get the water in place. And then after I had the water in place, I just had to lay up some kelp to make some source blocks and then bust all the kelp. It's a pretty easy process if you ask me. And then of course the last step is getting the soul sand in so we get some beautiful little bubbles. But no time lapse would be complete without, well, you already know. Yep. I did it again. I don't know what I was thinking. Then my next big struggle was trying to figure out how I was going to push the slimes across once they came up to the top of this water tower. It was kind of weird working with this water. I couldn't get it right, so I ended up building it up taller to get it to create like this wave. And that seemed to be doing okay. But we won't really know until we get some slimes up here, so we really need to make this thing spawnable down below. Now, if I could just find a simple way down. Nah, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I know. They don't call me Sergeant Derps for nothing, I tell you that much. So now what I'm going to do is put a roof on this thing and start working on the redstone contraption. The first thing I need to do is get these pistons laid out in a 3x3 pattern, and then one block lower we're going to do a 2x3 pattern. This is going to make crushing the slimes easy. And then I dug out a 1 block high pathway so that way we can get all the little baby slimes all the way to the end where we're going to eventually have a water stream. Hopefully just delivering the babies. Then I need to dig out a section for where I'm going to store some golems to help guide the slimes where we want them to go. Then we just need to build our redstone hopper clock. I believe it's called an etho hopper clock. It's a pretty common one, but the build layout is something like this. It's 2 sticky pistons, a redstone block, 2 comparators, 2 hoppers, 2 bricks, and 2 dots of redstone dust. So all I did was I put 9 items in the hopper, that way it sets off specific timings, that way we have just enough time to kill the slimes, but not to kill the baby slimes. It works out really well. The only other thing I needed to do was install a switch, that way we could shut this thing off, because it is a lag monster. So inside I needed to make a few changes and make it to where the 2 block high slimes couldn't get through this passageway when they're being crushed. So I just put slabs on the roof to hold them down. That way when it goes down to crush, they get crushed, but don't crush the babies. So it should be good. So one problem I ran into is that these slimes were getting stuck on this hill of water and not getting pushed all the way through. So I had to come up with a solution for that. I had to try to find a way to make this thing smaller. So what I ended up doing was making a layer of cobblestone, so that way we had a flat layer that we could lay the water out on, so that way it would form a nice sheet of water to push them all one direction. Seemed to work out pretty well from what I could tell. Next, I ended up laying out a bunch of fence gates on ice to hopefully speed this thing along and keep these guys moving so that way they're not getting stuck on the cobblestone. Because the ice has a little bit less friction, it makes them slide a little bit easier, and hopefully it'll make this thing work just a little bit better. Because man, this thing is massive. The only problem is these dang slimes keep getting stuck on these fence gates and just kind of hopping around until eventually they just despawn. Yeah, kind of a problem. So I decided I needed a change of pace, and I started working on the redstone down at the bottom. I was going to make a rail cart system, so the first thing I needed to do was make a rail cart drop-off station. I've built these before. It's just a comparator into a hopper with a repeater on top and a torch in the back. 2 blocks on top, and it's good to go. Then I just built the tracks that way we could pick up any of the potential drops because this thing isn't 100% lossless. The only problem is I'm also kind of a derp, so I had to build the track twice. But we got it done. The only problem was one of our golems happened to die in the process. Somewhere along the line, a skeleton got him. So I guess we're going to be taking this boy back with us.
Hey, I don't like this, man. Hey, I don't want to go.
I'm going to squish
Hey,
you.
you little squishers, get out of here.
Squish.
Wait, I don't want to go in the hole.
Just trust me, it's for your own good.
But
You'll be okay, I
I
promise.
want to be out there with you.
Don't worry.
Oh, man.
Well, things were starting to look up until I flooded my rails again. Yeah, it's the 3rd time I did that, but we'll get it fixed. And I guess leaving torches out here might not be the best way to light this thing. So I guess we'll do pumpkin lantern things, because why not? I think they look pretty cool, and I think it'll look cool in the build, so I'm going to do it. So I basically laid them out in a way that they would cover the whole thing and make sure that everything was lit up. And then I just kind of repeated this process like a million times, it felt like. It was a process of picking pumpkins and making jack-o'-lanterns and planting lanterns and building walls and building floors, and I started going a little bit crazy after a while, but eventually we got it all done and we managed to have ourselves a nice little building. The only problem is that the slimes were still getting backed up, so I needed to find a way to clear these walls and make more space so they can get through a little bit easier. Those are some big boys and they get stuck pretty easy, but luckily it's a pretty easy fix. Now the project that took way more time than I expected was putting a glass roof on this whole thing. I plan on eventually doing it to where it's glass all the way up to the top in layers so we can use the Optifine fog trick. The only problem is I wasn't thinking this is 4 chunks, and that is a lot of glass and cactus and white dye. Jesus, this thing was just way bigger than I expected. It took multiple trips to make this, tons of smelting, tons of coal. It was just, why did I decide to do this? It does nothing, but I don't know why. It's just one of those things. You live and you learn. And then you get slime. But anyway, I needed to make the tube chute for where we were going to slide all these little baby slimes up. It was pretty easy. It was just like a little single 1-block tube. And I used lime glass, of course, because, why would I do it the easy route? Plus, I want to be able to see it. It makes it a little bit easier for troubleshooting. So then all I needed to do was place some water and get it to go all the way down. And then I needed to go down to the bottom and do the usual trick with the bubble vader. But things didn't go exactly according to plan. For some reason, I was sitting under here thinking that, I'm just going to beat all these slime and be able to place this block, and for some reason, I didn't pay attention to the fact that I was taking damage. I was drowning. Yeah. What were you thinking? I really don't know sometimes. Ugh. Sometimes I really wonder why my brain is so smooth. But anyway, I managed to get it fixed and then get the bubble vader actually working. It's nice seeing these little guys flying up with me up to the top.
I'm going to squish you. Squish.
So now I'd say it's safe to assume that this machine works. You can see that it goes down here, it crushes the big guys. The little guys come out. They're perfectly fine, and then they get crushed down. And then once they get crushed, they turn into little guys. And all the little guys come down this way. They're just gliding on the ice like no big deal. Until eventually go through another set of fence gates. And eventually they wind up here. Where right now they're just kind of falling to their death. But eventually we're going to end up running this tube somewhere pretty special. But it's going to require some underwater digging. So I'm going to get to work building this underwater tunnel where we're going to move all these slimes through. I decided one of the best ways to do this was just by placing a bunch of lime glass because, why not? Everything else is lime at this point. So then all I did was remove all the water using sand and a shovel. Seemed to work pretty well. And then I just laid out a whole bunch more water streams to help push these little guys along. I ran it underground all the way to the bottom of my lighthouse. That's right. These guys are going to be coming out into the lighthouse where we enchant everything. I just think it makes more sense since that's where we're going to need the levels anyway. The only problem was I started noticing that they were backing up and not actually making it all the way, mainly because it was a 2-block high area and I didn't have ice on the bottom. So I decided to fix that, replace ice on the bottom, and then reduced it down to a 1-block area. And it seemed to smooth everything right up. And I mean, look at this thing. It is massive. We built a total of 4 floors, I guess if you include the top 5, that are basically spawning platforms that will only spawn slimes. I mean, this thing is really efficient for what it is. I mean, I'm just one guy in this giant world. It's more than I'll ever need, that's for darn sure. Yeah, you hear that, you little bastards? You're all mine. All mine. Forever and ever. You will all die. Yes. Always and forever. Hey, Betsy, how you doing? What do you think about these new slime buddies? What, Betsy, I'm over here. Betsy, hey. I guess Betsy's not feeling too good. She's been looking out at the slime farm. She's not too happy with my abomination, I guess. But, you know, I think this thing turned out really well for what it is. I mean, this thing took me almost a month to make. I mean, obviously, Minecraft isn't my whole life. I have other things going on. But every chance I had to work on this thing, I did. And I put a lot of time into designing this thing. I mean, this is my own creation. I mean, this is, as far as I know, I haven't seen anything exactly like this. There may be something out there. I don't know. But I'm really proud of this thing. It came out way better than I expected. I mean, look, all those guys, they're filing into that thing. It's sending them in, and then it's just going to go and crush them. So luckily, everything's working the way that it should. I mean, look at these little guys. They're the cutest things. I mean, look at them. How could you not love slimes? Look at those little guys. Man, I tell you, I just love it. I mean, even when you come down here, I love seeing this thing underwater. I mean, you can just see them all. Just floating on down, going off. Just to get executed. Well, let me show you the absolute best part about this entire thing, okay? It's the fact that these guys, they can't kill me. Okay, so like I can open this up. They can get in here and surround me, and they won't hurt me. I mean, look at this guy. He wants to squish me, but he can't. He can't do anything to me. So it's nice having an XP farm that I don't have to worry about these guys jumping up and killing me like my spider farm. Now, I really do enjoy killing some spooters, but the spooters tend to kill me more than I kill them. So this is nice just to have something that's this safe and also this adorable. I mean, look at these little guys. How could you not love these little baby slimes? I mean, really, look at them. You guys are the best. Don't mind me just gonna execute a couple of you. I mean, take a look at this, right? Like this thing inside here from down here, it looks really cool. It's just a giant box I have created to help keep these guys in here. And I mean, I still have access to it just in case if there was any more problems, but for right now I haven't had any major issues. And I mean, it's been really cool. I mean, we've got all these slimes that'll spawn inside here. Obviously, they're not going to do it when I'm here. But I mean, everything seems to be working pretty good. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but down here I've got these little slime blocks set above the rails because a lot of times what was happening is things were getting knocked off by the golems and then they were falling down and dying. So luckily this thing here should help prevent some of those deaths, but even if they do, it's not 100% lossless. I mean, we're still going to lose a couple slimes here and there, but it doesn't really matter because this is a single player world and I don't need a million blocks of slime. I'm not, like, it's just me. I mean, look at this. These are just things that have been falling. So this is going to get here whether I'm doing anything or not. So I don't even have to be using it as an XP farm. I can just have it run and get slime balls. But, you know, I also enjoy doing the XP too, because as you know, it's hard for me to stay above level 30 for long. Oh, well, it looks like this area over here is also a slime chunk. Whoops. I guess that's what happens when I open the area up. I need to prevent these guys from spawning down here because they're going to affect the rates. Alright, so these slabs should keep those spawns down a little bit. So one thing that I learned from this entire build is that sometimes I tend to get a little bit out of hand. I mean, I'm really proud about this thing. I don't think I've seen anybody else build one to this degree of a slime XP farm using the redstone and everything else the way that we designed it. And even if they did, I did this all on my own. I didn't have any help. This was literally just me trying to figure it out with what little bit of experience I have in this game. And I'll tell you, it was a challenge. I definitely overdid it on this one, and I need to learn to not take on such massive projects because this one was just insane. especially if I want to keep releasing videos. So I'm going to try to not get carried away with my farms like this in the next one, because man, these things, they run away from you, because you're like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. Next thing you know, you build this. It's a bit much, okay? It's a bit much. Oh my god. I left my kitty down there. I need to go save Mr. Kitty. Well, that's not Mr. Kitty, but you know what I mean. I'm coming for you, kitty. I'm going to save you. Don't you worry, kitty. I won't leave you down here forever. Come here, kitty. I got to get you out of here. You're not supposed to be on the glass. There we go. And we'll get rid of that. Hey, there he is. All right, good boy. All right, we're going to take you back. I also forgot to mention that if you're wondering how I got all those fence gates, I made this mini little tree farm. Basically, I just put slabs up at 8 blocks high, so that way when I'm under here, I can easily just chop the tree down. You can reach all the way to the top without a problem. It makes it real easy for farming. So I did that because I needed to do over 8 stacks of fence gates. It required a lot of wood, but I managed to get it all done, and now I've got this cool little tree farm. So one lesson I want to take away from this whole thing is that even though projects can take a lot of time, they're usually worth it in the end. I mean, this slime farm took me way longer than what I expected. I mean, it's been almost a month since the last video was out. Mainly because I've been working on this slime farm. And hopefully the next time it won't be as bad. But if you're aware, there's something new in the Nether. And there's something that we have to explore. Because if we ever want to beat this game, we're going to need to go back into the Nether and go deeper than we've ever gone before. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'm going to squish you so good. I can't wait to squish you. Oh no, it's my turn to be squished. Oh no. Not again. All I want to do is squish. Ah, squish, squish.